ancient tablets, which are, to me,
Yeah.
some of the most interesting things about ancient history, particularly what came out of ancient Sumer.
Yeah.
Ancient Sumer, when you look at their tablets and like, what are they saying?
Inside the broken clay records of ancient Sumer, there is a claim that has sparked quiet debate and growing curiosity. One tablet, buried among thousands of ordinary records, is said to describe something unusual about cats. It does not treat them as simple animals of the home, but as beings placed on Earth with a specific role. The writing hints at purpose, assignment, and control, using language usually reserved for gods and important human duties. So, were they truly natural companions, or something far more intentional? Join us in this video as we discuss the details. The Sumerian tablet that claims cats were brought to Earth for a reason. In 1927, a discovery was made that would remain hidden from the world for many decades. Deep beneath the ancient ruins of Nippur, workers uncovered a small clay tablet. It was not large or impressive. In fact, it could easily fit into the palm of a man's hand. Yet the strange object carried a story that would later leave many researchers puzzled. The tablet was found inside a sealed pottery jar. The jar had remained closed for thousands of years. Dust covered its surface, and no one knew what secrets were hidden inside. When the jar was finally opened, the small clay tablet was carefully removed and sent to the University of Pennsylvania Museum for examination. At first, nobody paid much attention to it. A museum worker looked at the writing pressed into the clay and quickly decided that it appeared to be some kind of religious or mythological text. Because there were many other ancient objects waiting to be studied, the tablet was given a catalog number and placed in storage. The number assigned to it was N2847. There it remained. Days became months. Months became years. Years became decades. The small clay tablet sat quietly in a drawer while generations of scholars came and went. No one translated its words. No one examined its message. It simply waited in darkness while the world outside changed. 44 years later, in the spring of 1971, everything changed. A young philologist named Eleanor Ashworth arrived at the museum as part of an academic exchange program. She had been given a difficult assignment. Her task was to organize and study a collection of forgotten artifacts that museum staff rarely touched. Many of the objects were old records, damaged fragments, and pieces that seemed unimportant. While working through the collection, Ashworth opened one drawer after another. Most contained ordinary records about grain, livestock, taxes, and trade. Then, she reached the drawer that contained tablet N2847. The moment she began reading its opening lines, she knew something was different. This was not a simple record about business or farming. The writing told a story. It spoke about ancient times, about gods, and about events that supposedly happened when the world was still young. The tablet identified its writer as a temple official who lived thousands of years ago. According to the text, the information being recorded had been passed down through many generations. Fathers had told their sons, teachers had told their students, priests had shared the knowledge with other priests. The story reached back to a time when the gods still walked among human beings. The text described a period when early human settlements were suffering. People were afraid. Children woke up during the night crying. Families reported strange experiences while they slept. Many believed that unseen forces were moving through their homes. According to the account, the gods watched these events and became concerned. They decided that something had to be done. The story explained that there were certain places in the world where the barrier between different realms was weak. These locations were called thin places. The ancient writer believed these thin places existed all over the world. In some areas, the boundary between worlds became so weak that strange beings could pass through. The text referred to these beings as the unhoused. They were said to have no physical bodies of their own. They moved from place to place, searching for opportunities to enter the world of humans. The gods eventually decided that human beings could not deal with the problem alone. A solution was needed. The story claimed that the gods brought a special creature down from another place. This creature had already been performing the same task elsewhere. It was a watcher. It was a guardian. It could see things that human eyes could not see. The ancient writer then provided a detailed description of the creature. It had 4 legs. It had a tail that moved in many directions. Its eyes could shine in darkness. It walked so quietly that people often could not hear it coming. Its body was covered in soft fur. The creature spent much of its time sleeping. Yet even while resting, it remained alert. As the description continued, one thing became clear. The creature being described was a cat. If the cats were truly brought to Earth as guardians, as the ancient account claims, how were they introduced into human society? Why were they given the sacred name Holder of the Door? Let's find out. The guardians of the door no one knew. The story revealed something even more unusual about cats. According to the account, the cat was not known by only one name. Ordinary people had their own word for the animal, but inside the temples, there was another name. This special name was used only by priests and those who understood the creature's true purpose. The sacred name was Mushdub. The meaning of this name was said to be Holder of the Door. To the people who recorded the story, this title was not symbolic. It was a direct description of the work the cat was believed to perform. The cat stood between worlds. It watched over invisible boundaries. It prevented unwanted things from crossing into places where humans lived. When the gods brought cats into the world, they did not place them randomly. Every placement followed a careful plan. The first cats were taken to the temples. This was because the temples were believed to stand on top of the thin places. The priests believed these locations connected the human world with other unseen realms. Because of this, the temples required constant protection. The cats were placed there as guardians. After the temples, the cats were given to priests. Then they were given to rulers and kings. Finally, they were brought into the homes of ordinary people. Over time, they spread across settlements, villages, and cities. Soon, cats could be found almost everywhere people lived. According to the story, every cat carried the same purpose. No matter where it lived, it continued to perform the work it had been brought here to do. The account then began describing behaviors that many people still notice in cats today. Sometimes a cat would suddenly stop moving and stare into an empty corner. Sometimes its fur would stand upright. Sometimes its tail would become thick and puffed out. Sometimes it would watch a particular place for a very long time without looking away. Sometimes it would growl at something nobody else could see. Most people would simply dismiss these actions as strange animal behavior. According to the story, these moments were signs that the cat was actively performing its duty. The animal was supposedly watching things hidden from human sight. The writer described one particular reaction in great detail. When a cat sensed danger, it would widen its body. Its fur would rise. Its tail would expand. Its eyes would remain fixed on a specific location. Deep inside its throat, it would produce a low sound. It was defense. The cat was confronting something invisible and preventing it from entering. The account then moved on to what it called the 7 functions of the cat. The first function involved protecting people while they slept. Sleep makes human beings vulnerable. During sleep, people cannot protect themselves. According to the story, the cat often chose to sleep near humans because it was guarding them. Whether curled beside a person or resting at the foot of a bed, the cat was believed to be keeping watch throughout the night. The second function involved watching doorways. The doorways were important because they represented points of transition. They connected one space to another. Because of this, they were believed to attract unseen forces. The third function involved inspecting new things. The fourth function involved marking territory. The fifth function involved breaking the silence. Anyone who has lived with a cat knows how suddenly they can become active. A quiet house can instantly be filled with running, jumping, and movement. The sixth function involved what the writer called holding the gaze. This referred to those moments when a cat stares at one location for an unusually long time. The writer claimed that the cat's focused attention acted like a barrier. As long as the cat continued watching, whatever was attempting to enter could not fully cross over. The seventh and final function involved the purr. Most people think of a purr as a sign of comfort or happiness. The writer offered another explanation. According to the account, the purr was the final step in the cat's work. It acted like a seal. After every other protective action had been completed, the purr supposedly closed whatever opening remained. Human beings might eventually forget why cats were originally placed among them. People might come to see them as nothing more than ordinary household animals. But according to the ancient belief, the cats themselves would never forget. They would continue watching, they would continue guarding, and they would continue performing the work they had always done, even long after humans stopped remembering why they were there in the first place. If an ancient tablet also describes cats as guardians standing at the door, what then does that mean for the next tablet, and what new and unexpected role might it reveal about them? Keep watching to find out more. The mystery of Tablet 45 and the strange place of cats in ancient Mesopotamia. The study of Tablet 45 began when scholars were going through old clay tablets from ancient Mesopotamia. These tablets were part of a large set of writings used for signs and omens. The whole group of texts was used by palace writers long ago. They tried to understand events in daily life and link them to meaning. For many years, these writings were not seen as strange or unusual. They were treated as normal records from the ancient world. But later, attention moved to one tablet that stood out. This was Tablet 45. It looked similar to others, but something inside it made researchers look again. The writing talked about a cat, and this was not common in such texts. The words used were not easy to explain in simple ways. This made scholars slow down and study it more carefully. They wanted to know if the meaning was normal or if something deeper was hidden in the language. In the text, one word caused strong interest. The word was shakanu. In the old Akkadian language, this word means to place, to assign, or to set something in position. It was often used in important records. It was not a casual word. It appeared in temple work and official duties. It was used when priests were given roles or when gods were said to give tasks. Because of this, the word carried a sense of authority and direction. It was linked with order and control. In Tablet 45, this same word was used in connection with a house cat. The text seemed to say that the cat was placed inside a home, but the strange part is that no person or god is clearly shown as doing the placing. the sentence feels incomplete. This made readers question the meaning. Some think it is only a poetic way of speaking. Others feel the choice of words is unusual because it matches language used for sacred duties. This is why the passage became a topic of debate among researchers. Cats in ancient Mesopotamia are hard to understand in the records. Many animals were clearly placed in society. Dogs had roles in temples and stories. Lions were symbols of power for kings. Goats, oxen, and donkeys were used in farming and trade. These animals were well recorded and easy to classify. But cats are different. They appear only in small mentions. There is no strong sign of cat worship or major religious role. They seem to live near people, especially around food storage areas. But they do not appear in big myths. This creates confusion for scholars. Even in lists used by scribes to organize knowledge, cats do not fit clearly into one group. Sometimes they are treated like wild animals, and other times like domestic animals. This unclear position makes them hard to define in simple terms. In Tablet 45, cats are also linked with watchers. These watchers are described as beings that guard places and observe corners of homes. These places were important in ancient belief because they were seen as points where hidden forces could enter. Cats watching these areas may be normal behavior, but the text makes it sound meaningful. Another part of the tablet shows a symbol used for stars. This sign is usually placed before the names of planets or bright stars. Its use in a text about cats is unusual and has caused debate. Some researchers think it may point to Sirius, a very bright star in the sky. In ancient times, Sirius was linked with seasons and river floods. It was also tied to a goddess in some beliefs. Because of this, the link between cats and this star is unclear but interesting. The tablet is damaged, so the meaning is not fully known. Outside the text, studies of cats show they came from wild cats in the Near East. Over time, some of these wild cats began living near humans. They helped control rats and mice, which made them useful. Unlike dogs, cats did not change much through breeding. They stayed mostly independent. Still, they became part of human homes. This remains a mystery. If cats first entered ancient homes as quiet helpers in survival, how did this simple role grow into something that shaped belief, meaning, and the way people understood protection itself? Let's delve deeper. The quiet rise of cats in ancient homes and the shift from practical survival to belief. Tablets were found in old city sites where archaeologists dug up thousands of clay records. These records were made by scribes long ago. Even though Mesopotamia kept careful records, the absence of cats is still noticed. Other animals like dogs, sheep, goats, and cattle are clearly written about. They are part of work, food, and daily life. Cats do not appear in the same way. This does not mean they were not present, but it shows they were not given much attention in official writing. In contrast, ancient Egypt shows a very different picture. In Egypt, cats became very important in daily life and belief. People saw them as protectors of the home. They were also linked with sacred ideas and later connected to gods. Some cats were even cared for after death in special burial practices. This shows a strong change in meaning between the two cultures, even though they lived close to each other in time and region. The most common explanation for how cats entered human life is based on simple survival needs. Early people stored grain in large amounts. This grain attracted mice and rats. These small animals could destroy food and cause hunger. Wild cats followed these rodents because they were easy prey. Over time, cats began living close to human homes. They did not need to be trained. They came on their own because food was available in these areas. Cats were useful because they reduced the number of pests. Their natural skills, like night vision, silent movement, and sharp hearing, made them good hunters in dark spaces. People slowly began to accept them in homes because they helped protect stored food. Because cats were often seen moving quietly around doorways, corners, and storage places, people may have started to see them as more than just animals. These areas were important in ancient homes because they were places where danger could enter. Cats sitting still and watching these spaces may have looked like they were guarding the house. Over time, this behavior could have been understood in a deeper way. What started as practical usefulness slowly became emotional trust. People felt safer when cats were around. This feeling may have turned into a belief that cats had protective power. In simple terms, repeated behavior can turn into meaning when it is seen many times over generations. In ancient Egypt, this idea became stronger and more organized. Cats were not only useful animals, but also they became part of religious belief and cultural identity. People connected them to protection, motherhood, and safety in the home. Over time, they were linked with divine figures, especially the goddess Bastet. This goddess was shown in cat form or with cat features. Cats were treated with respect and sometimes even cared for after death in special ways. This shows that the meaning of cats had moved from simple usefulness to spiritual importance. What began as a natural animal in the house became part of sacred life and religious respect. From a human thinking point of view, ancient people did not always understand nature the way we do today. They explained things using belief and simple reasoning. When they saw cats behaving in alert and silent ways, they may have believed these animals could sense danger beyond human ability. Over time, such ideas became stories and myths. These myths were not always true in a scientific sense, but they came from real observations of animal behavior. Modern science now explains these behaviors through biology, senses, and survival instincts. Even so, the old stories remain important because they show how people tried to understand the world using the knowledge they had at that time, with careful human observation. What do you think about the idea of cats being spiritual animals? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for following this journey into the mysterious world of ancient tablets and the strange story of cats in early civilizations. If it made you see history in a new way, like and subscribe. Click the next video to continue exploring more hidden stories from the ancient world. See you in the next one.